I do have my keyboard still up because I was working on something a minute ago. This is just, this was inspired from. This was inspired. This conversation was inspired by the last video I did. If you saw it, like it's funny the way things work with me when I'm doing this stuff. The light bulb just kind of goes off, and then I gotta and then I gotta talk about it. And so this was something that the light bulb went off, and I was like, yo, you know what? I need to kind of share this with them because it's very, very important that you guys understand why it's important to, have really good file management. If you watch the end of the last video I posted, and hopefully you watched the creation, and because I drop off different gems and things to help you that are not only associated with the MPC. I'll always give you information that's on the global perspective of music production. So if I'm telling you something, you know, while I'm working, I'm usually sharing an idea that kind of works no matter what DAW you have, no matter what system you're using. So with that in mind, I I always tell you to watch the whole video. There's going to be more. It's the challenge is creating a title to help you understand like the depth of what's going on inside of it. But there's no way to really give you guys a great title, and it encompass what the body of what we're going to talk about is really on. So I'm just going to give y'all what I got from the last thing. When I was ending the last one, I showed you guys how I saved my files on, and I learned this early on, right? Because all of us, if you've produced enough music, you run into this situation where you have, upgraded your DAW, whether you've bought a new drive, whether you've done any of these different things, where your sounds are on one drive and then your actual file system is on another drive. You've had these pain points. If you haven't, then you haven't worked long enough or you're not creating enough content. But one of the pain points that I had that I'm going to help you solve right now is file management. And I'm going to explain it to you like this. You want to keep your files together. Meaning, with most of these DAWs, kind of like my MPC-X, you can save, or their sequence will save separately from the sounds. That's kind of quite common with a lot of DAWs. For instance, if you're working on Pro Tools and you go to save your session, if you put your sounds on the desktop and you just save your session, you have to keep those sounds on the desktop in order for them to, for the session to remember where the files were to pull them in. That's why I suggest to you, I'm giving y'all some game. Hopefully y'all take it and y'all run with it. With Pro Tools, similar to what you just saw me do with this, my MPC-X on Pro Tools. When you finish your track, if you, for instance, bring your beat into Pro Tools and you manipulate it in Pro Tools, when you finish it, do a copy, save as, save, copy the session back into itself, so to speak. So what you're going to do now, when you do that, let me see if I can pull it up and see if I can share it with you guys when I do it. Let me see. Which one of these helps me share this? Is it 8, 9? This may be it. Let me see. And let me close out this right quick. Quit. Don't save because I already saved it. And then hopefully when Pro Tools comes up, you'll get a chance to see what I'm talking about. But on Pro Tools, which is giving me some grief right now, which I don't understand why, I want to show y'all why file saving is like, it's imperative, especially when I've worked on so many different kind of DAWs that some of them automatically will save the sounds with the file, but almost all of them, they have this glitch where they won't do it, and it's painful. Let me see. So that's not working. I had to force quit my Pro Tools and see if I can open it back up. I closed the MPC-X, and maybe that was the reason why it wasn't starting right away. Okay, so Pro Tools like it's going to give me a problem right now. Maybe I got too many things open, but I'll explain it to you. You want to do a copy save as. And what that does, it now creates a new folder and places not only your sequence in there, but it places your production, the sounds you use, audio, vocals if you have them, they're all saved into this one folder. So now when you go to pull it up, it doesn't have to look at the desktop where you save the sounds from another DAW. It doesn't have to look at any other folder. It just pulls them up from there. So what you saw me do at the end of the my session with the MPC-X, I created you saw me go copy save as. What it did is it created a folder. I created a folder on inside of my MPC-X storing system, which I have I think it's 500 gigs inside of a SSD card that I replaced inside of the one that came with it. I've got a tutorial for that somewhere. You may be able to find that if you go through some of my videos. There's a tutorial on how when I first got it, I had already ordered my SSD and I exchanged it out so that I could carry this. Like I can carry my MPC-X with all my drums. I never have to hook it to a computer. I never need an external drive. Everything that I rock with is in here. And that's why I was so excited for MPC-X when they started adding those internal sounds. Like we have keyboard sounds. We got, you got not hybrid. You have a couple of them that are inside of the DAW itself, which, makes life easy. They're not as dope as like Omnisphere and some of the bigger sounds, but they're enough to get you started. So if you ever want to go back and MIDI out those sounds to Omnisphere, or you want to pull that session into something else, you can do that. But it comes with the plugins that it came in was Hype, Mellotron, Odyssey, Selena, Tube Synth, Electric, and Bassline. That's all you need to build a record. Like honestly, I can take just my MPC, and honestly, I don't even need a keyboard, but I could take a keyboard and take it with me, but I can save the full song inside of my DAW. For every other program, you're gonna want to do that, because the last thing you want to do, because we change equipment out so much, man, I went through these pain points. I still kind of go through them because people want, songs that I've created 10 years ago. Like people still want that nostalgic sound that's been missing. And the irony of that is I created some of those songs with different, with equipment I don't have anymore. So that's why I encourage you, your filing system has to be on point. So you have to save your sequence, save your sound banks, but also copy save the whole thing to its own folder so that you can retrieve it when it comes time, where you don't have to look for that old piece of equipment. I promise you, somebody ordered a beat from me, and mind you, they were paying me $15,000 for this beat. So I had to go out. I literally went to 2 to 3 different places and had to rent equipment that I once owned, because I no longer owned it. I just had the files for it. So I had to actually get those systems, hook everything back up, copy, and do what I'm saying do now. And and there've been times, man, where I pull up. There's still times where I have to take songs or things that I have on drives that are in this studio. I have another studio upstairs that is like when I don't feel like coming into this studio, I can work up there. Or if somebody's working down here, I can still be working up there. But I have a setup where that MacBook Pro that I have working upstairs has some vintage sounds and some other some sounds that I don't have on this new Mac Pro 12 core. I upgraded my equipment, and there's a disconnect from sounds and from sequences and features that are on that other computer where I did a lot of work that are not present here. So there are times where I have to export a file up to that other computer, go up there, and do exactly what I'm telling you guys to do now, is save as a sequence or whatnot, and then save the files to one complete folder. And that's why if I can pull this up, let me see if it'll let me pull up the is it 9? Yeah, let me see if I can pull up my file finder so you can see this. Does it let me do that? I don't know if Finder is considered an application. I just want to pull up a Finder. It's changing this window when I do that. I don't want to do that. Okay, there you go. You guys might be able to see it now. So in my Finder window, if you look at it, you're gonna see. Let me go to the green room. The green room is this is my MPCX folder. It takes a minute because I got so many songs and so many beats in here, but you'll get it when you see this thing upload. These are all songs. You know, you see them by date. You know, it's a lot of songs and folders and all that kind of stuff. And these are all sessions. Now, because they're inside this drive, I can press these and yeah, they'll pull up and it's cool. But sometimes I've got, you know, songs or whatever that won't pull up anything. Like this one doesn't pull up, you know, it doesn't pull up the session. Well, that's a kit. Let me see. Let me go to a song. Because I know I got set like this. This just pulls up files, which I'm not mad at this because I can just import all those files and they'll line up. But there are instances where, let me go back to here. Instances where you see this is ultimately how you want it to look. I have the session here. I have the files in WAV and MP3, so for listening back purposes. And here are all the waves. This is what you need if you're going to work on BeatStars or one of those licensing formats. They ask you to have a zip of the waves. They ask you to have the wave and MP3 of it, and then of course a picture. You know, a picture. I'm gonna see if I got a better version of this. But this is an instance right here where it says official. No, I don't want to use that as an example. So here's a sequence and the files that go along with it. It makes life so much easier when you have this set up because you can pull things up immediately. But if you get into a situation where you don't have it all grouped together, I mean, you're gonna feel some kind of way. And you can see it. It'll say project data. It won't say what, you know. It won't say all the other stuff it's supposed to say. Again, these are files that I can. These files I can just import into a session, whatever DAW I want to pull it in, and it's going to play just fine. But I got in the habit of doing that, and I know a lot of you guys don't use your file systems the same way, and I'm hoping that maybe this will inspire you how to keep all your sounds and songs together. This is a complete joint. These kind of look like, yeah, so MPC. And then in my Pro Tools sessions. So what you'll see in my Pro Tools sessions, you'll see I have folders that have the date on them. And then inside these folders, you'll see a copy of it. You see? And then if I've updated it, you see a second copy of what is in there as well. So in this copy right here, when I go to audio files, they are there, but these aren't the whole audio file. So if I go back here, I can show you. Now here are my sounds. You know what I'm saying? You see everything, Boy Wonder, and you know what I'm saying? All those different sounds in there. And I can press this and it'll easily find it, load it right up with no problem. That's what you want. You want to be able to get your session. You'll see everything, copy of, you know, a lot of like this one doesn't have a copy of, but I redid the track, and then the CB99 somewhere I could find it, but it's already got that. I do a copy of, you know, copy of, if you really care about it. And this one I should have did a copy of because I added vocals to it is what it is. Now the challenge would be, see how it only has the recording files? Sometimes it's difficult to find the actual file that, you know, the music that's associated with it. And I've lost records that way. Like I've really lost records that I didn't make a copy or save as, and it's important that you do that, or else you're gonna lose the content. But if you guys have questions on, you know, whatever files or file, you know, about the file systems, or if you have questions about your DAW and how to do that and why you would do that, and you know, you could go even more extensive on the grouping of it. You could do, you know, your file system and then have them R&B records, pop records, EDM, rap, you know what I'm saying? You could have a whole grouping of folders, which I haven't gone to that extent yet, which would decrease what you saw on the main front of it. You know, right now you see all these files. I can actually say female songs, female pop songs, female R&B, female rap, or male this and male that. I could go through and do all that, but I haven't done it yet. That's and then I could color code it. I could tag it. Like if you looked, see here, I got headphones on for one of the artists that I did her project, and I actually did the tags for these three right here. And then you come here, it says mixes and then files, and then in mixes, you know, I've got mix bounces. I've got, you know, it's a whole filing system thing that's very important for you to, you know, to make sure you have in place. I just wanted to kind of drop that on y'all real quick. There was something that had been on my mind about, you know, about why to do that. And I honestly, it reminded me when I was creating this, that track just a minute ago, it reminded me like, yo, they need to hear this because it's so important that you are able to find your sounds. And whenever you have that, whenever there's a disconnect between the path to the sounds, you're going to lose records. Anytime you update, and if you're like me, man, I mean, like I've worked on everything from the JV 1680 to the 2480 to Logic, to Reasons, to Studio One, to the MPC X, to Fruity Loops, you name it. And when you don't have a proper filing system, you're gonna lose sounds. Last thing you want to do is be looking like I'm on my Native Instruments Studio. I could pull this up, and it's aggravating. Let me see. Wait, I don't even see it now. Fruity Loops, Pro Tools, MPCX, Logic. Did I stop using that on here? I must have. Let me go and I got to go to applications just to pull up my Native Instruments machine. Wait, I don't even see it. So maybe I don't even use it on this computer anymore. I know I got files for it. Let me see something. Let me see if I can find the files for my Native Instruments machines. That's another thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I might have cleaned it out. I might have been like, yo, I don't even use this computer for that. And it may have deleted my Native Instruments folder. And it looks like that's what I did too. I normally wouldn't do stuff. Machine 2, there you go. I go to recordings, no, projects. So as you can see, even in my projects over here, I got the sessions, but these are the waves. So what I did one day was I went through my machine library and I decided what songs I thought would be special enough to bounce out, you know, songs I would use. And so they're all here. But man, I realized I don't have this. Well, this folder doesn't have it. Do I have I might have another folder. If I do, I don't have it on here though. That's for sure. Anyway, if I go and pull up on my machine a session, it is difficult for that to find all the sounds. I'll spend 5-10 minutes per song just going through the library of drums to fill out the templates that I have. And it's a pain in the butt. And that's why it's so important that your filing system is on point. I mean, that the Native Instruments is a prime example of why, is a prime example of what made me say, I need to keep these sounds together because I may not always have these instruments. I may not always use these DAWs. I may not always have this outboard equipment. When I started producing and really getting into it, I used the MPC 3000, one of the dopest machines ever made. And then I used the JV 2080 maxed out. So my 2080 had all 8 cards, 8 slots filled with amazing sounds. I really made I made a mistake in selling it. I'll be honest with you. I made a mistake in selling my JV 2080 with the sound setup that I had because I had everything I needed outside of the box. It was not labor intensive on my computer. There were so many reasons why it was a mistake to sell that one piece of outboard equipment. And that's what discouraged me from even using my MPC 3000 and getting rid of that, because I was like, man, it's pointless, because I had this beast of a outboard piece of equipment that I with keeping up with technology and trying to become more in the box in terms of just, Logic provided an opportunity for you just to take that one thing with you, and take a laptop and you don't need nothing else. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to keep up with that and realizing that there's such a really dope quality in having this standalone piece, and how much in my production it makes one of the hugest differences. And so I reverted back to the standalone in a box. The minute that MPC decides to continue growing their, giving us more sounds and bigger sounds and better sounds, the more incredible there's so much room for this machine to be so powerful. It already is. You could do a whole song in this piece by itself. This is a production studio in its fullness. I can do vocals in here, backgrounds, harmonize. I could do all that stuff in this one piece. And I don't know if anyone is making this the centerpiece of their production. I mean, like, honestly, I don't need a computer to create songs, full songs. I could just use this. And, maybe one day I'll do a project like that where I just say, you know what, I'm just going to spend time. I'm going to do vocals in here. I'm going to mix it in here. I'm going to do the beat in here. And it's all totally possible. I have the memory for it. It'll be interesting. I might have to do that just to kind of show how powerful this machine is. But until then, I want you guys to focus on making sure that your sounds stay together. I've got so many examples of regret when it comes to losing really, really dope records, due to lack of being able to find the sounds or having the sounds available to me. And it's all because of the filing system. When you create these songs, create a second folder that encompasses all the pieces of it so that your filing system could be dope. I just wanted to drop that on y'all, man. Y'all saw I was inspired by the last video. Check out all the videos, watch them in their entirety, because they do all have a plethora of advice and gems that I dropped throughout the body of it. I know y'all got some additional things out of this one that, don't necessarily reflect the title. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Always feel free to like, subscribe if you haven't, comment, share, turn on notification bells, and I'm gonna I'll be around. I'm gonna keep kicking it, but the only way you're gonna know I'm online is if you got that notification bell hit. And my plans are to jump online a lot more. There's so much information to give, and I'm creating every day. So hopefully y'all like that last joint I did. Took me like 15 minutes. I'm gonna show y'all that it's not necessary to spend a whole day on a record, unless you're doing something. And it never really takes that long. Just go with your gut. And you'll know when the song feels complete or when you're doing too much. I always err from let me give more than enough and I can trim back what I don't want or whatnot. And then sometimes you just got to say, let me just keep it short and simple. Anyway, it's your boy Scrap, your favorite Green Eye Bandit. I'll talk to y'all soon.